Hi, welcome. Today I'll be replacing a full assembly keyboard on a MacBook Air. The model is A1466. You can see that the keyboard is a full assembly, is pre-made, and I'm not able to replace just one key. So technically you would have to replace the full set of it, the full assembly with the touchpad. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. First you need to have is a Pentalobe P5 screwdriver. We need to remove all the screws here at the very bottom to get to the back cover. So in this process, you will get to see on how to replace the battery, removing the motherboard, removing the LCD screen. Pretty much I'll be transferring the motherboard, the screen, right, the hard drive, the battery, everything over to that new keyboard replacement. Here I'm just happen to see that the customer spill some of the liquid, I think, on the battery. So let's go ahead and disconnect the battery by pulling down that connector towards my body. So pulling it down. I'm using a T4 screwdriver. T4 is to remove the screws here. That is the battery screws. Let's go ahead and remove them. Once I've removed the screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, now you can remove the entire battery. Wow. Something happened to the battery. I might not want to install the old battery here back to my customer, but we'll see. I need to turn it on and do some diagnostics after, but today I'm just going to focus on transferring the motherboard, the screen, because I need to replace the keyboard for them. So the next step, I use the plastic screwdriver. I need to flip open that little clipper and slide that LCD connector away. The next step is to pry open the Wi-Fi cable. You can just lift it straight up. The kind of circle connector that goes on top of each other. So if you push it straight up, then you can disconnect that Wi-Fi. Alright, using a T4 screwdriver, let's go ahead and remove that screw. I need to remove the hard drive, so by sliding it to my right at 45-degree angle, that's how I remove that. Go ahead and pull out the cable. They're just like Lego that snap onto it. If you lift it straight up, you can easily remove that cable. What I like to do is to disconnect the speaker, lift the connector straight up, and see if I can get underneath that here. I'm going to slide that DC jack connector to my right, kind of pull to the right, and then get underneath to this cable here, and then slide the cable down towards my body. That one is for the webcam. Using my T4 screwdriver again, I'll be removing that tiny little screw. That is for the board here, and then I'll be removing that one screw, second screw, first, second, and the third for that CPU fan. Okay. Now, before you can disconnect the CPU fan, you would have to flip open that slight little clipper here. That is for the CPU fan cable. Now you can slide it to your right to remove it. So that clipper has to be open, the connector clipper, and then slide that CPU fan to your right. Now we can go underneath. As you can see, that webcam cable is underneath that, and then going to your top. Now I'll be using a T8 screwdriver, torque 8, removing the 3 screws. The 3 screws are holding down the hinge. So we need to open that up to remove the LCD. Okay, once you have removed the 3 screws, you then now can open up the screen. I kind of push it all the way to the back a little bit, more than 90-degree angle, and slide the hinge off of the base. Okay, slide it out, and there goes the LCD screen. I'm going to put it on the side because we're going to reuse that in a minute. Let's take a look at my replacement here. It looks like it doesn't come with the speaker, so I need to transfer the speaker. Lift up the cable. So for this speaker, the MacBook Air, it is double-sided tape onto it. So as I'm just removing it, I'm using a plastic prying tool to somewhat pry open that double-sided tape right there. Okay, so that is the tape, they're taping it down. Let me transfer it to the other side of the computer, like so. I just kind of stick it over there. Okay, do the same on the other side of that speaker. Again, it's double-sided tape onto it. You just have to pry it open, and that should be it. Alright, so once we have that transfer, you see this little tape here. You need to peel the tape to your back, open up the clipper, okay, and then slide that cable to your right to remove it. That is your microphone cable. Okay, and then this comes out the entire DC jack with the USB and auxiliary jack. Okay, so what we like to do is to transfer it here like so, and then remember that cable that we slide to the right. So while we still remember, we just want to install it immediately so there's no confusion, right? So let me go ahead and get the screw holding down the DC jack connector board like such, and I'm going to slide that microphone, okay, to your left. So make sure the connector is open, and then slide that cable to your left, and then kind of use that little tape, pull to the left to fasten that cable. Press it down, connector, and you're done. Okay. Alright, let me move this thing on the side a little bit because I need to remove the motherboard. Let me go ahead and remove that tiny little screw holding down that heatsink on the top right corner here. Use the plastic prying tool. Open up the clipper, flip it open, slide the back lighting the keyboard backlighting cable down, and then open up the clipper on the keyboard, this part here, flip it down and slide the cable down. The rest would be just a T4 screw. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. With that 6 screws removed, you now can remove the entire motherboard. And this is the old keyboard that I'm going to replace with. Let's put in the replacement part here and transfer the motherboard. I'm going to slide it in. Let me remove the speaker if I need to. Let's see if I can slide it in. What I'm trying to do is I gotta make sure that the metal piece is not sitting on top of the motherboard. Okay, you need to make sure that it is sitting inside the motherboard. How do I make sure? You just gotta slide it all the way in, making sure it's all the way in. The next step is to make sure the keyboard cables are sitting above the motherboard, right? Making sure all of them are on top of that. Okay, there it goes. Okay, double check, making sure. Good. So let's put the screws back together. There's 6 of them. Top left, middle left, okay, 1, 2, third screw, fourth is right in the middle. Okay, 1, 2, right. On the top right and the middle right. Once you have all those screws in, holding down the motherboard, do not forget this tiny little screw here, holding down the heatsink, the CPU fan on the very top right corner. Okay, let's go ahead and push in through the DC jack connector, right? We're going to push it in. Now let's install the CPU fan, the speaker. Make sure the cable goes back in. Yeah, just like Lego, is snap on top of it, like so. Okay, now to reconnect the keyboard, making sure that the clipper is open, push it in. I'm sliding over away from my body and push the clipper down to close it. Same thing for the lighting, the back lighting, and then close that clipper. Let's do the CPU fan. Oh, before I do that, let's install the LCD screen, okay? Now making sure the hinge is open, push all the way back, and then kind of slide it into the base, and then do the same on the other side. slide it into the base. Okay, and then what I like to do is, while I'm still holding it down using my T8 screwdriver, I like to close one of the screw in so that I can close the screen after. Okay, so that is that. And let me get another screw and close it in. Now I can close the screen, fold it down. I can continue by sliding this cable underneath that fan, if I may. If not, I need to remove this. So let me remove that speaker, remove that board a little bit, give me extra room, tuck it in. It needs to be in there underneath, and then close it back. Okay, and somehow slide it in and then go on top back to that connector like so. Now that I can install the CPU fan, making sure the cable is sliding all the way to your left. I'm going to use this to push it in a little bit. Okay, and then close down that little clipper. While holding it down, I need to align, having that screw go on top of the top right CPU fan. Here comes the bottom part of it. Put the speaker connector back, just pressing it down. And the top left screw for the CPU fan goes in there, and we are done. So now we just have to making sure the hinge is screwed in with 3 screws on the top right corner. And I'm just going to use the plastic prying tool, tuck it in. You just have to slide it in like such on the Wi-Fi cable. Just slide it in and come back here with the 2 little gap. And then the short one goes on the top. And you just have to make sure you align the circle on top of the Wi-Fi connector. It takes little to no pressure to push it down. Okay, you just have to make sure it sits on top gently by pushing it in, and that should do it. Remember, the top left hinge has 2 more screws that we need to put in. So put it all the way in, like so. Okay, now you want to slide that LCD cable back to your motherboard. So slide it back in and then push that little clipper to fasten that screen. Double check, we have the microphone cable installed, the speaker, the webcam, which is all the way in, the charging port, and we're going to install this little cable to transfer the data. We have the hard drive, slide it in, 45-degree angle to the left, have this tiny little screw, go back on top of it, and then the keyboard, the trackpad, the lighting, speaker, LCD, Wi-Fi, we are set. And then here comes the battery, so put the battery back on top, slide the connector back in, making sure the laptop battery is aligned properly. Have the screw, the long screw goes on the top left, the middle, and the top right. T4, lock it down. And then you have two short ones at the bottom right and the bottom left. And here comes the back cover, making sure it is aligned properly. I'm not trying to force it in, but there you go. I might have to I'll double check on the battery. So just wanted to show it to you. These are the steps, and then have the screw go back in. I need to double check the battery, but I just want to finish up this video here. At least you follow along. So I have all the screw goes back together, and you should be able to power up the computer and have the keyboard being replaced. Maybe the battery is dead. Nope, I still have battery. I can hear that little sound goes on, and here comes the Apple logo. Let me cover up the background. I do not want name or anything being exposed. As you can see, that the screen is all good to go. We have the battery at 96%, which is good. And yep, I'm gonna shut it down, and that's it. Alright, so I hope this video is helpful to you. If you do find the video is helpful, please smash the like button for me. I really appreciate you for doing that. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Okay, any question, comment down below. I do answer those questions. Thanks for watching. Until next time.